Hello everybody and welcome back to Eiersholt. And I say that probably a little bit more emphatic than it should. It's been a long time since I have produced an episode of Eiersholt. Quite a lot of things have happened in the meantime. We're just getting our feeder ready here. We're going to go and pick up some food. Now, as I said, quite a lot of things have happened in the last little while. A completely new version of the map, well, completely new, a major new version of the map has come out. There were issues with seasons in the old version after seasons got updated and released for consoles and stuff like that. So my old same game actually got corrupted and it wouldn't have been able to really transfer onto this new version of the map anyway. So I'll just hop out and keep an eye on our total mixed ration here pouring in. Yeah, so I've been rather busy because I've been trying to reinstate the game exactly as it was where we left off in the series, although it's on a new version on the map. That starting to look quite full. There'll be plenty for our cows, so let me just stop that. One of the obvious giveaways here is that the feeding station down here at the cows, for example, looks quite different. And we have about 97,000 litres of TMR left. We still have some silage over in our silage, but it's nowhere near as full because quite a lot of it went in here. We got a few hay bales left up here, but that is potentially one of the things that's going to be a problem for us over the winter. So obviously I had to bring quite a lot of things in, but I tried to keep it as close to the numbers that I had originally. So in terms of what grains we have in the silos, what machinery we have, how many operating hours were on them, what fields we own, and what states they were in, basically. So in the last episode, we were still busy sowing up some oilseed radish in the field up here, and in addition to that, we were still harvesting the sunflowers on the large field. So all of that work is now completed, and the sunflower field has also been ploughed up, and it has had grain. I think we ended up putting canola on it. One thing I have changed is I changed over the bale storage. Before we just had a sort of big stack of bales here. Now we have a proper shed with its own light on, which is quite nice. That means I've cleared off. We had another bale stack out at the edge of the field, but that's gone now. And so we just have the one here, but it does have a higher capacity of 420 bales. In total we had about 600 stores. So I reckon some of the few changes I've had to make in terms of buying in a bit of pig food and stuff like that to give things to work will roughly even out in terms of economy. So we haven't really cheated anything in it. We have instead basically just tried to reinstate the game as close as I possibly could to this. Now I just need to bring up the help menu here. Okay, good. The water is running in. So that's the other thing. We have put in plumbing for both the cows and the pigs, so the water simply runs straight into the water trough and we don't have to worry about bringing the tanker back and forth all the time. But we are in the latter part of mid-autumn here. I'm just going to unhook the feed wagon because we just need to pick up some of the waste from the animals here first of all. And then when we've done that, we're going to feed the animals, and then the other big thing that needs to happen today is to get the corn harvested from our top field that we had ready there, basically. We also need to put some more bales in here for bedding for the cows, because as you can see we're down to 8 degrees now. It's starting to get proper autumn and pretty cold actually, so we'll just get these cows feeded. We'll pop down and check on the pigs as well, and then we will actually be getting going on some harvest. I also think we will be able to cut the grass in our field. Our last cut before our grass field is harvested up or ploughed up. I talked about that in one of the previous episodes here on Eiersholt. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be back on the map, because in real time it's actually been over a month since I've really been able to play on it until this new version was released, and then I've been doing a bit of a sort of frantic catch up to try and get things sorted so we could get back to recording. But that's the feed for the cows. I'll put in some bales, and then I'll pop down and have a look at the pigs as well. But I might just speed this up a little bit or cut it out, so we can get on with the harvesting as well. So with the cows out of the way, we're just going to go down and take a quick look at the pigs. But one of the things you might notice as I'm driving through one of the puddles here is we get little mud splashes. The new version of Eiersholt here has got the dynamic mud thing built into the map now. So expect things to be getting a bit more dirty than usual, perhaps. We had originally sold some pigs and then started fattening back up again. However, just for the sake of expediency, I brought in one batch of pigs. So we have 70 pigs that are being fattened up, and at some point we'll be able to sell them. One of the parts of the updates of the map is now that there's room for a lot more pigs here in the farm. I think before there was room for like 300. Not that we actually ever really got close to that, but that was the capacity that was there before. And there is now room for 1,500 pigs instead. So I'm thinking that we should get some breeding pigs instead. So right now we have used these Gloucester, I think they're called Gloucester Old Spots or something like that, just for fattening and in relatively low numbers. But it might actually be worth thinking about investing in some breeding pigs now instead, and see if we really can start getting some numbers up, and then obviously also sell some, so we are actually making money out of it. We need to harvest the corn today because we are completely out of corn. There's none left in any of the silos, and that is one of the key things that we need for pig food. We now have a pig food mixer sitting over here. There is a little bit in it, 19,000 litres, because I brought some in, and that was part of what we used the money from selling the surplus bales from as well. So that's all good. So the Massey Ferguson here can really go back up to the shed near the cow stable. I don't think we're going to need that one right now, but it's still a bit wet. It rained overnight, but we can start getting some things ready. We can get the combine back out of the shed, get some trailers ready. We do have an auger and a truck, but it's quite a steep hill and there's quite a rickety bridge leading up to the field. So we're just going to be running ordinary grain trailers on a couple of the tractors today instead. It's not that far to the farm, so I don't think it's going to be an issue in terms of trying to keep up with the combine or anything like that. Just like before, we have our Titan spreader, a New Holland sprayer, and our New Holland CR10 here. And of course, this is the machine that we're going to be bringing out today. As we can see, there is 12.5 hours operating time on it, and it will need some servicing after we finish off this last harvest. Whoops, I think this door has become a little bit narrower, maybe. I'm not quite sure. Maybe not. Maybe it's just me that's not that good at driving. We do have the corn header that we already used for cutting sunflower with. I put it in a shed over on the other side of the yard here because, well, so one of the places where it was going to fit. I could have put it into this shed as well again, where we have our sewing machines. Oh, and it looks like we've got quite a few eggs. Maybe we should get those put into storage just so they don't start going off. We have time. That one's only half full. That means the other two are full. So we will bring those over to our little cooled shed here, one at a time, like so, and we'll get the other one as well. So the chickens are still doing fine. They are breeding, and we've used a little bit of wheat from the harvest to keep them fed as well. But we still have quite a lot of grain in our silos, and obviously we're basically hanging on to it until we start getting the best seasonal price, and then hopefully get some good peak demands as well. So we'll get the combine ready here. It's a little bit precarious right here on the slope down to the pond, but I think we should be okay. So we can get this reversed out. Just don't go too far down that edge of the field there, and we'll get that sitting ready. I think we'll actually take this one straight up to the field now. We've got enough fuel. We should be good to go, so we'll just have to wait until the sun comes out a little bit more. It's still just early in the morning, and then we'll be ready to go. The trees, as you can see, have turned. I'm getting its autumnal colors properly now. So as we're coming up the hill here, you can see the corn ahead, but you can also see this bridge. Now this is a very large and heavy machine to be bringing over here, so we're not going to chance it by also trying to bring a truck with a very large trailer up here. We're going to leave it with bringing the combine over and saying everything's okay there. If you've watched my other episodes from Eiersholt, you also know that we did some logging down in the forest towards the end here. Now obviously with having to swap the map over to a new version, what I've done is I basically destroyed the trees roughly, like corresponded to what we had already cut down. So there are still gaps down in the forest where we had done logging originally, but as you can see there's also still quite a lot of timber there. So when we start moving into the rest of autumn, we finish off the corn and another round of grass cutting here, then I think we can turn our eye perhaps to some timber if we're able to get up here through the snow, of course. But I'm just going to leave this one sitting here for now, because we've got a little bit of waiting to do before the sun has warmed up and dried off our crops enough. So that's our first set of trailers all ready to go. But we might as well get both hooked up, just so there's no kind of pressure situation in trying to make it. We do tend to get quite a lot of corn yield on fields. I'm not 100% sure whether it's exactly the same with seasons, but might as well get them ready. That's our second T7 ready, so we should easily be able to keep up. But we've got a little bit of time to wait, just until the weather dries off, and most other things are reasonably ready here on the farm right now, so we can pop in and get ourselves a cup of coffee and see how it goes with the weather. Right, so it ended up being quite a long waiting time. It's basically 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, but we've been up checking a couple of times, and the field really didn't feel ready, but now we gotta get cracking before the dew sets back in again and it gets too wet to work with the field at all, because it's a reasonably size of field to get in, and the days are getting shorter again in autumn, so let's get cracking. So we got the second tractor up, as we can see with this new mud in the field. Yeah, the tractor's going to be working quite a bit harder, I think, especially once we start getting some grain into these trailers. But I guess that's quite realistic. It rained yesterday, so the ground is probably quite wet, and we're seeing quite a bit of dirt being kicked up in the field as we are trying to catch up. I think the combine is almost full for the first load, so he's going to have to do a little cut in and let us up on the side, so we can get the first corn unloaded on this field. I hope we get a decent yield, because we're going to have to feed the pigs out of what we get here, so there's no real plan on selling any of this corn, to be honest. We had originally thought about whether we're going to use it for silage for the cows, but actually we got plenty of silage from the grass fields. They've yielded very well. So this is going to go more or less straight to pig food instead. Oh, I think that's the flasher coming on, starting to get full. So it won't be long until we can get our first load done. So while the harvesting is underway, I thought I'd just show you one other little autumn and winter project that I'm considering. Now that we're starting to put bedding down for the cows and maybe also the pigs, we'll be starting to produce some manure, but I don't know, I wasn't really planning on spreading manure onto the fields, because we might not be generating that much after all. So instead, oh yeah, new version of the map actually has a little road through here as well, through from the silage plant and coming over to the back of the pig stables. That didn't used to be here, but I'm talking about this area here, where we have some trees and there's a little bit of uneven ground, but I think we can sort that out. I was thinking if we clear away the trees, we'd get quite a bit of daylight in here, and we could put in some greenhouses to produce a bit of vegetables that we can sell as well. So I think that might be a nice little earner and a way to use some of the manure that we are going to be generating up over the winter from the cows at the very least. So that is going to require me to start cutting down some trees around here. I'm not sure whether right now in the middle of harvest it's a good time to be doing that, but we will be getting on with that project shortly here on Eiersholt as well. But since I'm in the pickup truck here, I think we'll just we'll head up and see how it's going with the corn harvest, and in the meantime I can point out, so we got a grass field right here, that's our old grass field that we've already cut twice, once for hay and once for silage. I would love to be able to get this last cut, some of it turned to hay, but to be honest, I'm really not sure whether we're going to get enough drying conditions. Maybe we should have a quick look at the weather forecast. So actually today we got fairly high wind speeds, but then today we're kind of busy, and then Wednesday it looks actually okay, it's overcast. So tomorrow might be the chance where we actually try and cut the grass and see if some of it could get baled to hay, because we need hay more than we need silage. However, the fallback position is that if we can't get it dried properly to hay, rather than leaving it to rot on the fields, we're going to pick it up and turn it into silage. We're going to sell some of that silage, probably to the biogas plant or something like that, and then we are going to use that money to probably buy in some hay bales. Oh god, it's getting muddy and sticky up here. Oh dear, I'm almost getting stuck here. Right, let's see how it's going on. Well, that's the T7 coming flying past me. going to catch up with the combine so that the next load of corn can get unloaded. He's all the way across there already now. I don't know if we're going to make it before he fills up. Well, we're catching up, I think, just as he's using the flasher to indicate that he's getting pretty full. Now, obviously this auger arm is designed for when the New Holland CR10 is also running the wider grain header. The corn header is a little bit narrower, so you just got to be careful. Whoop, almost spilling a bit there. Try and stay with it here and match the speed. I think I'm quite glad that we got a combine with tracks on now, that we got all this mud in the field. Hopefully that's going to help us a bit. And that's the first trailer full, so get up and unload into the second one. Right, we're about 3/4 full right here in the corner, so I think this is a good spot to peel off and bring our first 30,000 litres of corn down to the silo system. We will have to bring some of it into the pig food mixer at some point, but right now, at this very moment, we still got some pig food, and so we're simply going to bring this into the silos instead. Just to make things a bit easier. And while that unloading is going on down the farm, our second T7 is starting to pick up corn from the combine here. And that's the second T7 back up again, and it frankly seems to be working absolutely fine with these two sets of tractors. So I think we can actually head down and start thinking about a little bit of the clearing. We're not going to finish it in this episode or anything like that. We're just in between a bit of the harvesting here. Oh, if I don't get stuck here. In between that, we might as well start clearing a little bit of that space. So we can start thinking about whether greenhouses is a viable alternative or an additional income here on Eiersholt. I guess they'll have to be, heated if we're going to start establishing them over winter here, but that's doable as well. Although I guess that means they cost a bit more than the one you just pick up sort of down at any old store. But we'll head down at the back of the pig stable, get our chainsaw out, see if we can take down a tree or two. There will be quite a lot of clearing work to do and stump grinding involved as well, but who knows, we might also get a little bit of money for the trees. So here we are. I reckon these three on a line here, and another 2 trees at the back there, that ought to do the job. These are quite big and they're quite awkward to cut to pieces, so I'm not going to record a huge amount of it, but we can take down the first one here before we head back up and see how the corn harvest is getting on. Timber! I hope. Oh no. Oh, the trees are getting tangled. See, now it gets dangerous already. So we better take down the second one as well. Let's see, there's plenty of space out here. for the tree to fall into. So we'll try and make them fall out onto the open ground rather than getting further tangled here. Whoop, step away a bit here as the trees roll. Good. I've got a lot of debranching to do now. Let's see how we're getting on with the harvest first of all. So we're getting close to being halfway through this field now. It's 6:20 in the evening, but it's still mild, 15 degrees, so it's staying dry, which is obviously a positive because we should be able to get this harvest completed then. Guess light might start failing us at some point, but we'll check back in a moment once we've also had a look at how it's going down on the farms with getting the trees cleared out. Once we just get the last little bit of grain into these trailers so we can drive this one down to get emptied as well. So we'll hop in here, leave the combine to get on with it, and see if we can manage to pull through the quite soggy field with 2 trailer loads completely full. Oh, well, nearly 97,000 litres, or 97% nonsense, close to 42,000 litres. We'll head out onto the road. Hopefully we've got a little bit more grip out there than we do on the field itself. And we'll be heading down to Eiersholt farm to get this lot unloaded. So, just before it gets too dark to see, I'll just turn my head torch on here. That's the first 2 trees kind of trimmed down to size a bit. Obviously, there's still a few branches and things that needs to be tidied up, but I think I'll try to get these big pieces of logs shunted to one side and maybe loaded up on our trailer over there and take them over to the lumber yard. The rest can probably stay here and we can, I don't know, hire a chipper or something like that just to really get rid of it. We have a few more trees, but I think that's enough for today. As we can see, the light is fading. I'm gonna put away the chainsaw. I'm gonna head up and see how the last bit of the corn harvest is doing. I know we've had a few episodes with harvest, but hopefully they've been a little bit different. We've had demo machines, we bought a new field, and this one is really about trying to make sure we have enough feed for our pigs eventually. Well, I think we are into the last handful of strips here on the field, but as we try and unload in a bit of a wonky line with that trailer on the back, it's getting very dark, and so I think this is a good place to stop the first episode here on Eiersholt that we've produced in a little while. There's quite a bit of alternative things coming up. Shortly we are going to have to service a lot of our equipment. We've worked it hard over this first year on Eiersholt that's now starting to come in towards a close. We do still have some grass cutting to do, and then there's also considerations about whether we should be acquiring more land. We do have a reasonably healthy bank balance of nearly 200,000 euros, and since we can now make our own pig food, we might need some root crops, and the question is whether we need to invest in a new field for that or whether we use one of our existing ones. But we'll see how that pans out. If you have any ideas, drop a comment to the video, leave a like, or consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy what you see. But we'll be back again on Eiersholt and carrying on seasons and the years on the farm. But for now, it's thank you very much from Overcord Gaming, and see you again soon.